Yep.
Well, howdy, and welcome to a special episode, Ask Me Anything with Pastor Mark Driscoll, and we mean ask anything. So just drop it in the comments right now and ask your craziest question, and we will ignore any that are too crazy. But Pastor Mark is committed to answering some.
Yeah, because everybody, I mean, you know for a fact, everybody wants to get the weirdest sex questions answered with their father-in-law.
I love
that's always the end game on a Tuesday.
It's my favorite thing.
Yeah, I know.
It's my favorite thing. I wonder, we probably end up talking about it more than any other father-in-law and son-in-law. So, not intentionally. But yeah, thank you guys for joining us. It is Giving Tuesday. That's a reason we're doing this Ask Me Anything, just driving awareness. It's a day where nonprofits raise a whole ton of money. People are generous. After Black Friday and Cyber Monday, hopefully you have some money left over to be generous. And if you consider, go to realfaith.com/partner and commit to some kind of gift to Real Faith, because we are trying to reach the nations. We've reached 300 million people this year alone. It is crazy. So the team told me today, for every $1 you give, it's 200 people reach. So
that's wild.
We get pretty good gas mileage. So.
That's wild.
Yeah. So awesome day. But let's kick off this Ask Me Anything with a festive one. Pastor Mark, is Christmas a pagan holiday?
Oh boy, here we go. So Christianity came up within the early Roman Empire. Romans were total pagans, and they had their holidays like every nation does. One of those holidays was called Saturnalia, and they celebrated it December 25th. So the Christians didn't know when Jesus was born. We don't know exactly when Jesus was born. Probably not December 25th, because it says that the shepherds were in the fields. Well, it's usually pretty cold. Probably don't have your, sheep in the fields at that time. But the Christians basically decided, this is kind of what Christians believe, history indicates, well, since we've already got the day off work, it's a holiday, the pagans are doing it to celebrate their pagan god and their pagan season. So let's repurpose it. So when it comes to a holiday, you got three options: receive, reject, redeem. They're like, well, you can't just receive it. We're not Roman pagans, worshiping different demon gods. We could reject it, and some historically have. The Puritans, who helped found America, they actually worked on Christmas in protest of Christmas, so they rejected it. Many Christians redeemed it. And they said, well, how do we take the day and we redeem it for Jesus Christ, turn it into a celebration of his birthday? So that's how Christians started celebrating Christmas. The Romans would use things like garland, mistletoe. Some believe they brought trees into the home. Some believe it was the Protestant reformer Martin Luther who brought trees into the home based on a verse out of Isaiah. Now I'm nerding out on you. So Christians have traditionally just said, well, since they had the day off, let's use it for Jesus. Well, here we are a long way from the Roman Empire, and it just kind of became tradition over time. And so if you use it for Jesus, I don't think it's a problem. You can redeem it and use it for Christ.
Okay. Is Santa satanic?
No. So Santa is actually originally St. Nicholas. And so I had a lot of fun with this. Mm-hmm. So you're married to our oldest daughter, Ashley, and I had a lot of fun with the kids growing up. And I always told them the story of St. Nicholas. And St. Nicholas was actually a saint, and he argued at one of the church councils for the Trinity. So he was a strong Christian believer, defender of the truth. And he was also very generous toward the poor, especially toward children. Mm-hmm. And so he was a bishop, and he would bring gifts to children, especially to little girls who were poor. And so children loved him, and he loved Jesus, and he loved children. So the myth and the folklore that built around St. Nicholas, Santa Claus, Sinterklaas, actually the core story is a beautiful one. A pastor who loved Jesus and loved children and was very generous. Mm-hmm. And so I told him, the kids growing up, I didn't want to lie to him. And so if you tell him that's the real Santa Claus and he comes down the chimney, I told him, well, that's all kind of make-believe and fun, but there really was a historical St. Nicholas who loved Jesus and was generous. and defended the Trinity, and we'd tell them the whole real story. And I'd say, and that's all fun and make-believe, like pretending you're a cowboy or dressing up like you're a princess. He dresses up like he's St. Nicholas. And so I didn't want to lie to my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Because, it's like, well, that's St. Nicholas. And then, and then they realized later, like, that's not a real person. I lied to you. But Jesus is a real person. I didn't want to lie to my kids, but I wanted them to have imagination, and I wanted them to have, that wonderment as a child. And so our kids all the time dressed up. Our kids were big on dress up. Your son now is kind of probably getting into that age. The boys,
he is a cowboy.
Yeah, they dress up like cowboys and soldiers and princesses, and so I'm all about make-believe and fun and being kids, but I just didn't want to lie to them, and so I tell them the real story. There is a real St. Nicholas, and he loved Jesus, and then these guys are kind of it's dress-up time for the adults, and they're they're kind of carrying forth the story, and I tried to tie it all back to the real St. Nicholas.
Love it. That's great. It's definitely been a discussion in our household on Santa or no Santa, or somewhere in between. So I would agree with you. Yeah,
the story of St. Nicholas is a good one. And I can't remember if it was a VeggieTale or what. There was a kid's story that we used to show to the kids, and it actually did a really good job telling the story.
Okay.
Yeah, it was good.
All right. Look it up.
Yeah.
Look it up. For those of you who are just joining, we are doing an Ask Me Anything with Pastor Mark. We have a crazy question coming up in just a second. But we just wanted to drive some awareness around Giving Tuesday. It's a day where people are very generous to a lot of nonprofits. Encourage you guys to do that, whether it's your church, a nonprofit you consume content of or are part of. Be generous today. A lot of nonprofits need to plan their year, get strong giving as they head into the end of the year. Real Faith is no exception. We are trying to raise some money. We have a headquarters being built that we're trying to finish. And so we have a big goal of raising $500,000 today. And let me tell you a little bit about what Real Faith does. We are a publishing ministry, a Bible teaching ministry. Our goal is to be the second most impactful Bible teaching ministry behind Jesus. We're working on it. So this year, we've reached 1.5 billion global impressions from, it's like 140 countries. That's 300 million individual lives, accounts reached, and 100 million pieces of content distributed. So it is crazy at Real Faith how much we're trying to get out there with your Bible teaching and trying to reach the nations. And we get so many incredible testimonies. It is amazing to just see the life change.
Maybe tell them the most recent one on the elderly Jewish man.
Yeah.
Because that one was wild.
Yeah. It was a Nazi World War II survivor, 98 years old, gets saved and writes in a testimony, like, if a 98-year-old can commit their life to Jesus.
Jewish guy that was in World War II.
Yeah, lived through the camps, like the whole thing, and made it, and to all of a sudden come to Jesus at 98 after going through so many hard things through your Bible teaching. So thank you for being courageous.
That's unbelievable.
And teaching in a way that... you do it in a way where men can be humble and come to Jesus. So thank you for doing that. And that's what we're all about at Real Faith. So if you head over to realfaith.com/partner, you can commit to a gift with Real Faith. We would really appreciate it. And it would help us launch into our next year. So thank you in advance. All right, next great question. Does filing a restraining order on my mom make me a bad person?
Depends on who your mom is. Depends on who your mom is. If her name is Candace, you may need to do that. So it all depends. And so, there are certain people that they're just dangerous. So in the Bible, there's three kinds of people. There's wise, foolish, and evil. If somebody's wise, really easy to have a relationship with them. Foolish, you need boundaries and consequences. If they're truly evil, you need lawyers, guns, and money. I mean, that's what you need to deal with truly evil people. If your mom is truly evil, meaning, she is a threat to your safety, she's a threat to the safety of your children or your child, as a last resort, you may need a restraining order. I don't know the backstory, but like if your mom has brandished a firearm and threatened you, I'd get a restraining order. If your mom has threatened or attempted to seize your children and flee the state or country, I would get a restraining order. I mean, it's a last resort. This is my 30th year as a senior pastor. I mean, I've actually seen some wild and crazy things with family. And when it comes to children, people go nuts. I mean, I've actually seen grandparents seize grandchildren from school and flee the country. Like, if you got a situation like that,
It's got to be pretty bad to go restraining order, because you should be able to just move away or say, hey, leave me alone.
yeah. And so, it has to be really extreme. And or, some families, like if you're born into a family, like it's a cartel family, it's it's a crime family, and or the family members really truly have like some sort of major like psychological breach or a major addiction that just puts them in a position to where they're just completely dangerous and unsafe, and you need a firm boundary between your life and theirs, or between them and your child.
Yeah.
In rare occasion, you may need to, but I would say you don't have bitterness. You're not just trying to punish them. You're just treating them based upon their character needs to be the driving decision. But when it comes to a point like this, sadly, tragically, sometimes we need to do that. And so, not to plug a book, but like I talk about cutoff and Fix Your Family System and what a cutoff is. And there's 41 times in the 4 Gospels when Jesus either walks away from somebody or he lets somebody walk away from him, and he doesn't stop them. And so that's a cutoff. And sometimes with a cutoff, there needs to be a no contact order or restraining order to enforce that.
Yep.
So that then if that person tries to return, it literally is a criminal act. Sometimes it's a no trespass. And those are sad occasions. They're very, very rare, but sometimes they're necessary.
Yep. It absolutely can be necessary. So we'll be praying for this individual, and I'm very sorry you're dealing with that. All right, here's a fun one. Is it normal for 30-year-old men to be in a 3-year relationship without proposing? Asking for a friend.
Jeez. I mean, if you are,
You should probably stop sleeping with them.
yeah, I mean, if you're dating a guy for 3 years and he hasn't made up his mind, then he's not ready to be a husband, and or he's just waiting for the chick he really wants to be with, and you're just the placeholder. I hate to say that.
Yep.
And if you are sleeping with him or living with him, you need to just break up and move on immediately. And again, we're plugging the book this week, but like Fix Your Family System. So the problem in most relationships isn't just the relationship, it's the system that holds the relationship.
Yep.
If you're living together or sleeping together, the system that holds the relationship is a broken system. So you're going to have a broken relationship.
Yep.
And the longer you're in the relationship, the more the relationship is broken. And when you add children, now you have a broken multi-generational relationship and you have a broken family. So if the system is broken, either fix the system or end the relationship. But if you keep going, it's not going to be working. But any guy after 3 years, he either knows like that's my wife or that's not my wife. And if he's like, I'm not sure or I'm not ready, what he's saying is you're not the one, or I'm not willing to put in the effort to make this a marriage.
Do you think there'd be anything wrong with a woman just saying, I'm going to walk away? You can make up your mind one way or another, kind of an ultimatum.
I would just, especially if you're living or sleeping together, just move out, walk away, and just say, you know what? If we're going to be together, we're not going to build on this foundation. We need to start over.
Yep.
But after 3 years, I mean, but at 30, it's like, if you can't make a decision at 30, like Grace and I dated 4 years before we got married, but we met at 17. And we were together like a few weeks, and I bought her a jewelry box. And she said, I gave it to her, and she said, "What is that?" I said, "Well, that's where I'm going to put the engagement ring." Because at 17, I made up my mind. That's my girl. Well, we got married at 21 in college. So we did date for 4 years because we were 17. Like, I'm a junior in high school. So there is something about dating a few years when you're really, really young. But by 30?
Yeah, I was listening to a finance guy. His name's Caleb Hammer, young guy, trying to be helpful. He audits young people's finances. They send him all their stuff, and he goes through them and then gets them on a show and walks through everything. It's very interesting. But he was on a show, and he's 29, and he said it really hit him. He was at home for the holidays, and his mom gave him a picture album, and at 29, they had a 10-year-old, which was him. and he doesn't have a wife. And he's like, wow, it really hit me. I need to get married. I need to have kids.
No kidding.
And the advice he was given was, dude, wait 5 more years. Like, hey, you're building something right now. Just build it on your own, solidify your legacy, and then get married and have kids. And what would you say to that?
Well, I would say get married as soon as you find the person that loves Jesus and loves you and that you love. You don't, you can err in one of two ways. You can just want to get married so bad you rush into marriage and you're not in love and you're not ready. Or you can wait so long that you're waiting for your life to come together. The truth is, your life comes together when you and your wife work on it.
Yep.
I mean, this is where it's not good to be alone. The wife is the helper, and she's going to help you put life together. So there's something about being broke and making sacrifices and working together that builds a marriage and builds a life. And so, I encouraged our children, especially our sons, and with you, marrying our daughters, like, get married young, have kids young, and what happens is it actually requires a young man to grow up more quickly and take on more responsibility. I mean, as soon as you had a wife, I'm sure you felt it like, okay, I got to carry this load, and then as soon as God gave you Indy, your amazing little boy, it's like he's awesome, he's incredible, but he depends on you.
Yeah.
So now you got to carry that load. And if you're waiting until you're in your 30s, to me, it's like, some people you don't meet your person or you got to get your life in order. There's some extenuating circumstances. But there's an opportunity there for real selfishness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like if you spend all of your 20s and you're like, I only think about myself. It's really hard in your 30s then to think about somebody else and then to start to think about a child.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, you always say young men are like trucks and they drive straight over the load. I feel like a lot of young men aren't even getting on the road yet.
They're not. But do you regret getting married young and having a kid?
No. I mean, I wish we would have gotten married sooner, younger. And I think it is so much more fun to be married and figuring things out. You don't have to have it all together. You don't have to have finances together. It's just a lot more fun to be broke and together than, yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is like, wait until you make X amount of dollars. And the issue is, well, be broke together and figure it out together. I mean, that was Grace and I. We got married in college between our junior and senior year of college. And we were broke, but we were broke together. And I'd rather be broke with her, And the truth is, too, like, at least the two of us weren't paying separate rent.
Yeah, exactly. It actually practically makes a lot more sense to get married and move in together than not.
Yeah, we reduced our expenses by living together. And it's like, well, at least we're together.
Yep.
I don't have money. We didn't have money for big vacations, but I could hold her hand and go for a walk and go to the park, and she was my wife, and I was glad to be with her.
Yep, 100%. 100% love it. Again, guys, we're doing Ask Me Anything. Feel free to drop your craziest question in the comments below. We will try our best to get to it. We're doing a Giving Tuesday stream today. It's a big day for nonprofits across the world. They're going to ask you for our money today, and we're no different. We're hoping to raise a lot of money. We have a $500,000 matching gift from a donor that stepped up. So every dollar you give will be doubled today. That ends at midnight. Head over to realfaith.com/partner. Our goal is to reach the nations with Bible teaching. It's very simple. It's very straightforward, and we're not going to move from that lane. So
30 years in, I think we have proven that, we're a lighthouse, and the lighthouse ain't moving.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 100%. All right, lots of family questions. I think we're just in the holiday season. So, Pastor Mark, what do I do about my narcissistic husband?
Well, first of all, I'd be really careful to diagnose somebody clinically because a clinical diagnosis, maybe go into a counselor, a Christian counselor, and have them diagnose before you rush to it. And you may have a narcissistic husband, or you may just have what's called a man. And so, I'd be reticent to put a label on somebody unless you're a professional. But if you do feel like, there's something exceedingly wrong with my spouse, number one, nobody's going to like this advice, check your own heart for bitterness. Because if there's bitterness in your own heart, you're not going to be in a position to really work on your marriage. Satan's going to get access to your marriage. The Bible says, let no root of bitterness grow up, and by it many become defiled and become sexually immoral and unholy. So ultimately, what leads to sexual immorality and unholiness within the marriage is bitterness within the heart.
Yep.
And so, before you deal with your spouse, you got to check yourself and be like, okay, am I in a place where my motives are to glorify God and to do good by my spouse, or am I just hurt, bitter, angry, frustrated? I got to get me right with God before I am right to deal with them. And then once you are in a place where your heart is right, then it's trying to get them with you to meet with someone. And so what happens in a relationship, in a healthy relationship, I talk about triangles in the Fix Your Family System book, and maybe even do the workbook with them. If your spouse would be willing, do the workbook with them. It's something you can do over 21 days together. You do the work separate, and then you talk about it. And then that would allow me to introduce the concepts, and then you don't have to come at them. I can come at them, and then you can be like, hey, what did you get out of that? So let me be the bad cop, you be the good cop. But what happens in a relationship is two people work things out until there's too much anxiety, pressure, tension, or issues, and then they'll form something that counselors call a triangle. And a triangle is where you bring a third person into the relationship to help manage the load of the anxiety. It sounds like here there's anxiety in the relationship. The question is, who do you bring into the triangle? Well, number one, you need to pray a lot and invite the Holy Spirit into the marriage. Then number two, what human being do you invite? Well, you need to bring somebody with the Holy Spirit. So then you got to bring in a Christian pastor, a Christian counselor. Make sure you're not just inviting a girlfriend who agrees with you, a family member who will side with you, that you're not leaking or venting in front of the kids, because now you're going to be poisoning your whole family. So it's really even then asking your husband, if you feel like, man, we're not making it. This isn't working. We got to get somebody else in to help navigate this. Like, we're fighting. We need an umpire to make the call. Even ask them, like, who would you be willing to talk to and listen to? Mm-hmm. And if it's somebody that you agree to, then be like, okay, let's do that. Would you be willing to meet with our pastor? Would you be willing to meet with a counselor? And then it's not just fighting all the time, but then it is checking your own heart, praying for the Holy Spirit to be involved, and then agreeing on who that person is you're going to respect. Mm-hmm. If your marriage requires somebody to always be involved, you've got a real crisis in your marriage.
Yep.
Like if every time you want to solve something, you got to call somebody, like you got a problem. Mm-hmm. The ultimate goal is to get somebody in to resolve the issue and to give you the skills to start to resolve your own issues. Yep. So you can get unstuck. And so, the question then is like, who is that? Mm-hmm. And this is where my whole heart is men's ministry.
Yep. Because
most men have nobody that they'll talk to that's really helpful or godly or wise. And if your husband is in a men's ministry where he's got buddies, he's got accountability, he's got good men around him, then those men are going to help him get unstuck, and he's got guys to talk to. And this is the problem in most churches. The wives are in women's ministry, and there is no men's ministry. Mm-hmm. So the wives are kind of making progress, and the men are just working and coming home, and they're on an island.
Yep.
And this is the problem in most churches. And so then the wives get really frustrated because when it comes time to tag somebody in to help the husband get unstuck, there's nobody to call until it reaches a point of crisis.
Yep. Yep.
And so I would ask, who is he willing to talk to? Does he have a godly dad? Yeah. Is there a pastor? Is there a counselor? Is there a mentor? Is there somebody spiritually that he looks up to and would submit to? Is there a good godly couple that maybe is older and further down the road that the two of you would respect, and maybe they could be in a mentoring position? I would try to figure out who you're going to welcome into the triangle for a season.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It can be very tough. I think the sign, a pretty big sign of a narcissist is if they're unwilling to talk to anyone. So you need to encourage your husband to find someone, and I think that's great advice.
What if the husband just says, I won't talk to anyone?
That's where you get pretty tough. I mean, you'd go tap in your pastor and try to. You kind of have to create a triangle of like, I need help. Like, if your husband is aggressive, rude, domineering, abusive, and he won't talk to anyone, then I think as a woman you're pretty stuck. But if the husband's willing to respond in a godly way and go to counsel, you might disagree with the counsel, but he's going to counsel. So a narcissist will not hear from anyone advice. So that's a pretty good litmus test on. He needs to go to a pastor, go to somebody that he trusts. And in our marriage, we make sure that I have those people and that she has those people.
Yes.
And they don't need to be experts in everything, but I need to be willing to submit to them when times get hard, and she does too.
Yeah.
Again, guys, we're doing an Ask Me Anything for Giving Tuesday. Thank you for joining us. Something fun we're offering just for this stream. We are giving away an awesome truck. That's something fun we do at this ministry. It helps us raise a lot of money. No secret there. But today you'll get double entries. All gifts are
parked right out there.
It's beautiful. That's the awesome picture of it. It is a really sweet looking rig. So all gifts that you give today to enter to win this are going to go to Giving Tuesday, be matched, help us do ministry, and you might win a truck. So realfaith.com/truck. There's no reason to not do this. It's the best deal out there. So thank you guys in advance for that. Well, Pastor Mark, I have a very complicated family one. And I've only read the first half of the question, but it's got witches. So my oldest daughter is dating my oldest son is dating a very sweet girl. The only issue is with her family's religious beliefs. They're witches. I need guidance on how to handle this. I'm standing my ground on what I will allow and won't allow, and what they agree with me. Their recent discussions about my children made their mother extremely mad because my son told her that his children will be baptized. Please help me.
So the question is, so it sounds like in-laws, if I'm getting it right, trying to get the organization.
Christian
in-laws, witches. And then son loves Jesus.
Oh, not in-laws dating. So
okay,
they're
dating.
just
so potential in-laws.
Potential in-laws.
So then the daughter of the witches. The question is, based on the question, is the daughter Christian?
The daughter's a very sweet girl. That's all we know about her.
So if she's not a Christian, to quote, I think the old Iron Maiden song, run to the hills, run for your life.
Yeah.
I think that's the old Iron Maiden song. If she is a Christian, then she's going to need to, Genesis 2:24-25, leave her mother and father, cleave to her husband, the two become one flesh, start a new family. He then is the head of that family, and she will be the helper. And so this new family with this son and daughter will need to decide what their relationship is with her side of the family and his side of the family. And they may have differentiation, which is strong boundaries.
Yep.
And they may decide to do cutoff, and that is no relationship. Mm-hmm. And that'd be a complicated decision for them to make. It all depends on how her extended family responds.
Yeah, because there's no problem having a crazy family. It's just, is the person you're dating crazy, or do they acknowledge, or do they realize crazy is there?
So you can't, when your kids go to get married. We got 3 kids that are married and 2 that are in college. You can't punish a kid because their family's not great. It's not their fault. And sometimes the greatest kids come out of really broken families because they've seen brokenness, and they're like, well, I know we're not doing that. So they make a hard pivot. And so it only works though if you come out of a broken family. Number one, if you realize that it's broken, and number 2, you're willing to leave your mother and father and cleave to your spouse, do the Genesis 2:25, and start your own new family. Not to sell it, but that's the whole point of the book and the workbook. This is exactly what we're talking about. And so if she is, number 1, the girl, if she's a Christian, number 1, and loves the Lord, number 2, if the girl and the boy, if they love each other and are Christians and are a good fit, and she is willing to follow his leadership, and he is willing to lead her, and this is crucial. And the two of them are willing to follow God's divine design according to the Bible for marriage, leave their mother and father, cleave to one another, become one and start a new family. And he's going to lead and she's going to follow and help his leadership. Then they're going to be fine. It's going to be hard.
Yep.
And then her family is probably going to force them into a hard decision, and that is either an unhealthy relationship or no relationship. There's only three kinds of relationships: healthy relationships, unhealthy relationships, and no relationships.
Yep.
And when you're a young married couple and you're dealing with an unhealthy extended family, you've got to decide what kind of relationship we have: unhealthy, healthy, or no relationship. And you got to decide that ideally before the kids come, because it's one thing for you and your spouse to deal with sort of an unhealthy extended family, but it's a whole nother thing when you start adding kids to it.
Do you think it's possible to have a healthy relationship with witches?
No.
Yes.
Because
I mean,
it's
like
demonic.
that's like a date. Like, it's not like, oh, they're unhealthy. It's like, no, they're
demonic.
evil. They're already evil.
So there's three kinds of evil. There's wise, foolish, and evil. Wise people live by the spirit. Foolish people live by the flesh. Evil people live by the demonic. If they are genuinely witches and into witchcraft, they're demonic, they're evil.
Yep.
And so, I mean, again, we're just down the fairway. Yep. Literally, all of this is in the book.
Yep.
And so, so I talk about 4 generations of Abraham's family. So Abraham is generation 1. It's Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph, 4 generations of the family in Genesis. So God called Abraham and Sarah, the first generation, to cut off Abraham's family and his father. And he did so. It was Joshua 24:2 says that Abraham's father served other gods,
Yep.
demons. So Abraham's dad was worshiping demons, same thing as witchcraft.
Yep.
So God said, leave.
Yep.
Cut him off. Like, grandpa can't be involved.
Yep.
Okay. And so if you're dealing with extended families, like they're just actually worshiping demons and fully demonic, they're going to put oppression on the marriage, and they're going to put generational demonic curses on the grandkids. Out.
Yeah, the lady just responded. Her daughter is a Christian, so she's trying to navigate this as a potential mother-in-law.
Then love that girl, and don't punish her, and let the boy and the girl marry, and let the son be the head of household. Honestly, like, let's send them a bucket of these. Let's send them a box of these. But like today, like, so in the other room, like I'm the father-in-law, and I'm the grandpa, which is awesome.
Yep.
But like today, when I showed up here at the ranch, your son was here, my little buddy, and so I get down on one knee, and I'm like this, and little cowboy is running at me and jumps into my arms, and I give him a big hug and tell him I love him, because the bond between me and your son is real tight, and I love him with my whole heart. And if I was worshiping demons, the confusion and oppression on that little boy.
Yeah, I won't do it on either side of the family.
No. It's like I'll start. I'm just thinking about it, like crying. Like, if he loved me and I hated Jesus and loved demons, the confusion and oppression on that little boy.
You have to. I mean, you need to protect your marriage, but you really have
your
to.
Kid.
Your kids are innocent, and they're trusting that you're putting them in a healthy environment.
Oh my gosh.
The spiritual is the one I will not. There will be no compromise from me. So I'm very sorry, but if you were demonic, you're out.
Yeah. Well, and then, like, what if I'm praying over him? Demonic oppression. What if I'm, bringing witchcraft and sorcery and divination into his life? And I mean, like you can't.
Terrifying.
Like, you can't put that on a baby. You can't put that on a grandkid. I mean, you can't do that. And so it's at that point, it's not about the grandparents. It's about the kid, and it's not about the parents. It's about the next generation. And so, selfish, unhealthy family systems is always about, well, what about the older generation? A healthy family system is always about, what about the kids and what about the grandkids?
Yep.
And so, yeah, on this one, like, I would tell the mom, sounds like the mom is concerned, love this girl like a daughter, have your husband love her like a daughter, encourage her faith and growth in Christ, encourage their marriage and walk with Jesus and sensitivity to the Holy Spirit, and encourage your son, hey, once you guys are married, you're a new family.
Yep.
He's the head of household. You guys leave your mother and father, and if they're unhealthy or demonic, you can have hard boundaries, and if you need to, you can cut them off and pray for their repentance and salvation. But until they meet Jesus, there can't be a close relationship.
No, absolutely not. And I think when I was getting engaged to Ashley, I'm not her leader yet, but we saw it as like, as we were dating,
you're taxiing
getting engaged,
up to the runway.
You're taxing. So it's a great opportunity for this gal's son to start leading. And I think for mom to encourage her son, hey, you're heading towards your own family. Like, you guys got to start making decisions that line up with that and protect the girl. Like, help get her to safety. Help lead her through this, because it's hard. If your parents are witches, you still love them.
Yeah.
It's hard. There's a codependency there. There's a love there. But the husband needs to lead.
And it becomes an evangelistic relationship. Your job is not to save them, but you're like, hey, we're going to pray for their salvation. We're going to, when we have opportunity, we're going to talk to them about Christ. And if they're really hard-hearted and closed to that, then there's not going to be a lot of discussion, but it can't be a negotiation, because darkness doesn't have anything to do with light.
No. And if I was going to potentially marry this girl, I'd need to know that we were fully on the same page.
She needs to be willing to leave her father and mother and cleave to her husband. And cleave there means fully attach, passionately pursue, and reset her priorities.
Yep.
So before you're married, you're God and your parents.
Yep.
You get married, God and your spouse. Like, she needs to understand all of that and emotionally process that. And oftentimes for a girl, resetting that priority with her mom is really hard, because oftentimes the connection between mother and daughter is very deep. Usually for a son and a father, dad's ready to launch the boy and the boy's ready to launch. Mother-daughter, that connection can be a little deeper and more emotionally intimate. And so, she's going to have to work through it. It doesn't mean you despise or hate your mother, but you do need to leave your mother and your father.
Yep.
And so emotionally, she'd need to walk that process for sure. But honestly, for their premarital, let's get their address. Let's send them some copies. This is what this is for. And I wrote this now that Grace and I have been, married 33 years. And now I'm writing this as a father-in-law and a grandfather, trying to give the categories to help. But once your kids get married, like, they're their own, like you and Ashley, you're talking about all the time, like, you're your own new family. You're the head of that family. You lead that family. We don't have any control over that family. My hope would be, through respect and, through relationship, to have, some measure of, connection with that family, but not any connection, but not control.
Yep.
And that comes through respect, and that comes through relationship.
Yep.
And that has to be mutual. And so, the families that are trying control without connection, it's like, that doesn't work. And it has to be respect and relationship. And so if this is a family of witches that are making demands, it's like, you don't have any choice.
No, you have no choice. No choice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pastor Mark. And for the mother-in-law or potential mother-in-law who's listening, just email us, hello@realfaith.com, and we will just let them know you were the person on asking the question about the witches.
We'll send some copies.
We'll send you some copies for them and for you. And the series is going on for the next 6 weeks. So just tune into the live stream. It should be helpful. Pastor Mark, what is the money being used for that we're raising today?
To get Bible teaching out. And so right now we're at a headquarters. And so, like any ministry, you need a space to work from. And so we're in our current headquarters, which is new and great. And then there is additional acreage that we want to build out with an event barn, to where we could do classes and podcasts, and we could host some people, especially the global audience, could come in and be present for events. Some of it goes for publishing, things like books and physical copies of material.
We've given out 50,000 free resources this year.
Yeah, we do. And then some of it as well goes toward staff. There are there are families that are part of our ministry, and like any job, they feed their families and they're getting married and having babies, which is awesome. There's a couple of cute little kids here today. I got to feed a few. Their first eggnog, which was very fun.
That's a big day.
It's a big day. A couple little girls today. Their moms brought them into work, and they learned about holiday beverages, and so that was my highlight of Giving Tuesday. As well, some of it is just physical technology. To get stuff on the internet requires certain technological infrastructure to just be able to do that. And so, it's going to be physical stuff like technology. It's going to be space. It's going to be headquarters, and some of it's going to be products that go out, in addition to other things like accounting and legal and just some professional expenses, because we are a legal organization. We want to operate above board, and we want to operate at the highest level of professional integrity. And so, when it comes to all the professional services, we want to make sure that the best people are doing the best job to make sure all the professional services are buttoned up at the highest level.
Yep. Absolutely. And we get so many cool testimonies through the ministry. It's been really cool to see lives change through it. So we wanted to show you actually the guy who's helping us build our headquarters right now. His name's Barty. He came in and kind of shared a piece of his testimony we'd love to share with you guys.
Has done so much in my life and all the lives of the guys that I'm surrounded with, the guys we all get to experience truth through the gospel message that's carried through Real Faith Ministries. So
what is the impact Pastor Mark's had in your life and Real Men? And you've brought probably more people to Real Men than anyone I know. So why are you so passionate about the content?
So the community at Real Faith and with Pastor Mark, I never had a church community in my entire life. Ever. Never prior to being involved with Real Faith and Pastor Mark. And once I met Pastor Mark, he welcomed me in. And I'm like, Pastor Mark, you don't know what a knucklehead I am. And he goes, actually, I do. And welcome anyway. And it's that exact story of how Jesus acted. And he wasn't going out there after the lawyers and the doctors and the politicians. He was out there hanging out with everyday people. And I felt that every day of my life since being around Pastor Mark and all the staff with Real Faith. And it's just been such a blessing. Welcomed my family, and we all started serving and become part of this. And our lives have just grown in
so good,
an amazing way. The knowledge that my wife and I gained in the scripture that relates to parenting in the real parenting classes that we took through Real Faith, and getting exposed to that and how we're raising our children and what's first and foremost in everything. It's God. And then it comes to mine and my wife's relationship. And then right under that is raising our children. And if you have that all in order the way that we're taught, through real parenting, that's what highlighted really what our family should look like, what the fatherhood should look like in that relationship with me and my wife, and then with us and our children. And when we put that all first and make sure that's priority, it's really improved prayer life, it's improved bedtime, it's improved homework, it's improved sports and good sportsmanship. It's improved every aspect of our lives as a family. So I finally found a place where I can hear the truth, understand it. It speaks my language. I get to experience real parenting through Real Faith. I get to experience real marriages through Real Faith. I participate in marriage counseling others because of the learning that I've gained through Real Faith. And it has produced so much fruit in my life, and I'm surrounded by so many guys now that are just part of that movement, that are online, that are part of that app, especially the new app. It's so great now. And a couple people were asking me about it and this and that, but I just met a guy out there from Sun Construction. What he told me was him and his wife started listening about a year ago.
So cool.
And she hardly ever gets to make it to come see Pastor Mark live, but she's on Real Faith all the time,
so
watching
good.
all his videos, and what a blessing, So
cool.
That's what I get to participate in on a day in, day out basis.
So cool. We're so grateful for Barty. He's one of the best guys I know, and his life has dramatically changed as a result of Real Faith. And so those are the guys we're doing ministry to, just salt of the earth, best guys out there. And I think everybody's like, oh, I need to be a pastor to change legacy, change the world, to make an impact in ministry. Barty leads a construction company, and he's probably brought more people to Jesus than most pastors.
If a church hired Barty, they'd ruin it because he'd be hanging out with Christians all day. You know? And he's an evangelist, and he's seen, I don't know, maybe he's baptized 100 people. I don't even know. It's wild.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It is amazing. So again, guys, it's Giving Tuesday. Head over to realfaith.com/partner. Give your best gift. Help us get Bible teaching out, reach more people like Barty. Every gift today till midnight is matched, and every single dollar helps us reach 200 people with Bold Bible teaching. All right, Pastor Mark, rapid fire as we head into the last 5-10 minutes of this. Just your quickest answer to these ones. Is it wrong my husband's always calling me Jezebel and throwing Bible verses around at me every time we argue?
Well, that's a form of birth control.
For sure.
Yeah. If you do think your wife is a Jezebel, just throwing Bible verses at her is probably not the best idea.
The way she asked the question, I don't think she's a Jezebel.
Yeah, the way she asked the question. Yeah, Jezebel probably wouldn't call in and ask.
She doesn't. Most Jezebels don't like Mark Driscoll. I don't know why, but
Yeah, no, they don't. Yeah, that is a fact that I can prove after 30 years. So, don't call your wife a Jezebel unless her name is Jezebel, in which case ask her to change her legal name.
Okay, fair enough. Yep. Dude, people need help so bad. Why are you not on national TV?
I don't know. I'm going to the White House next week. This is insider information. Meeting with someone who's starting a new cable television network, and I might be on national television someday. We'll see. It's a long conversation.
Love it.
Or not.
If you live in Denmark or Finland, Pastor Mark is on national TV. They rip off all our sermons without asking, and they play it on that national TV. So not our national TV, but it was a very weird thing when we got a testimony from somebody that was watching you in Finland. So
wild.
Yeah, it's weird. Let's see. My son is 10 years old with severe autism. He's a sweet boy. I've had a challenging time joining a church that will accept him. Any advice on finding a church?
That is very, very, very complicated, and I'm sorry for that. And part of the issue is depending upon where you live, children with those kinds of high special needs, it becomes complicated for a church because, number one, you really need a highly controlled environment and staff to child ratio that's really difficult and people that know what they're doing.
Yep.
Maybe you can explain this. You worked at camps with kids and you've run kids ministry.
Yeah, it's hard. A lot of churches just aren't equipped for it. I would guess if you asked in like autism community Facebook groups and stuff, are there churches in our area that are equipped for it? Because like at Trinity, we're working on a program specifically for kids with additional needs, and you want to serve them and love them well, and you don't want to like embarrass them, bring them into the main service unless they can do that, or if there's a room set up for them, that kind of thing. But I would look for a church that's already that's one of the ministries they care about, and talk to the pastor, email them ahead of time, because you don't want to put the church in a hard situation or you in a hard situation, but there are churches out there that this is a ministry that's on their heart. So I would encourage you to look in some Facebook groups and ask around, because there are churches that this is a primary ministry for them.
Well, and two, I would add, a lot of times people complain about the big churches and the mega churches. This is actually where they can specialize in some ministries because
they have the resources.
They have the resources for additional staff, and they have the square footage, and they can have controlled environments to where sometimes the largest churches are able to do some of these specialized ministries, which is more difficult to do.
Yep, it's great. How can I help my husband who feels guilty over having to cut his mother out of our lives?
Well, it depends on why you cut her out. I mean, there's a lot of questions I'd want to ask here. If he had to cut his mother out of their life, then he shouldn't feel guilty. He may feel sad.
Yeah. And
I think if you cut somebody like your mother out of your life and you feel good, you're probably bitter and unhealthy.
Yeah.
Like, if you cut your mom off and buy a cake, you should check your heart.
Yeah.
But if he's sad, that's one thing. But if he feels guilty, then I would ask him to just meet with somebody and check. To check, did he make a mistake? do something wrong, or is the relationship so unhealthy that he feels guilty for their behavior?
Yeah, I think, and especially with sons that have controlling, overbearing moms that you would need to cut off, there's been codependency built up for so many years that when you do cut them off, you feel like, I did something wrong. Because
Yeah.
you're breaking a generational curse.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most healing things for a husband is a really warm relationship with his wife,
Yeah.
and his wife being very kind to him and extra grace for him in those seasons.
Yeah. Yeah. Love, support, thank, encourage, bless, and just constantly reminding him as a wife, like, thank you for prioritizing our family, the health of our family, and the legacy and future of our family.
Yep.
So that he's looking forward to the future and not just looking back.
Yep, 100%. Totally
Yeah.
agree. We have one more question. It's a good one. Just a reminder today, guys, today is Giving Tuesday. We had a donor step up, and he will give up to $500,000 for every dollar we raise today. So if you give $1, he's going to give an additional dollar. So it's matched up to $500,000. Help us not miss out on any of this. Head over to realfaith.com/partner. It ends at midnight, so giddy up. Last question, Pastor Mark, and it's a simple one. Can a prenup be structured in a way that is biblical? It's not simple.
Oh yeah. So prenups are hard, and so generally, when you get into marriage, it's a covenant, not a contract. And a covenant is the two become one, whereas a contract is we're still two.
Yep.
We have an exit, and when we become, when it doesn't work, we go back to being two. And so, for Grace and I, we married 33 years ago. We have one last name. We worship one God. We sleep in one bed. We have one bank account. We go to one church. Like, Grace has got all my passwords. Like, there are no secrets and there are no divisions, and we are one, and everything is one. That's our marriage. And but for some marriages, a prenup, for most marriages, a prenup would be a contract that makes no sense, because a contract is the opposite of a covenant. A covenant is about grace and trusting one another, and a contract is about mitigating risk and distrusting one another. There are, however, occasions when a contract or a prenup makes sense. Let's say, for example, you're two widows, and you're older and you're getting remarried, and you both have estates, and you've pledged your estates to your kids, your biological kids. And you've said, well, we've got companies and assets, and your dad, built this business and he pledged it to his biological kids. Well, then the prenup would be architecting the business of the estate to just carry forth the commitment that the father or the previous generation made to their children or grandchildren. And so Jesus talks a lot about the spirit of the law versus the letter of the law. If the spirit of the law is, hey, we're 30 years old, I don't really trust you, I don't think this is going to work out, so I want to paper it up, then the spirit of it, the heart of it is bad. But again, like if you're in your 60s and you're like, hey, we're just getting started, but we've already got 60 years of life and we've made prior commitments to family members. Yeah. Well, then I'm like, well, the spirit of it is you're trying to be true to the commitments you made to your children and grandchildren.
Yep.
And so to me, it's the spirit versus the letter of the law. Like, I dealt with that with a couple recently where the dad had amassed quite an empire, and he made promises to his kids and grandkids, and then she was widowed for a number of years and then got remarried. And she was like, I want to get this papered up because I want to honor the commitments he made to the children. It's like, well, yeah, of course. That to me is that's less about the marriage, and that's more about the legacy that the father had to the children and grandchildren.
And it protects her relationship with his kids.
Exactly. Well, those are her biological kids too.
Yep. That's awesome. Well, thank you, Pastor Mark. Thank you guys for joining me for the Ask Me Anything, and it's Ask Pastor Mark Anything. Today is Giving Tuesday. We have a generous donor who stepped up with a $500,000 matching gift today only. Head over to realfaith.com/partner. Thank you guys again for tuning in, and we have a Mark Driscoll show coming out later today, so tune in for that.